Observer on the air live couldn't be easier. First, visit bit.ly/obguest. Once you click on that, you'll wind up on this screen. Then, you'll have to choose the webcam that you want to use. You can see there's a list of them here. And once you choose the right webcam, you'll then have to choose the microphone that you want to use. It's all very simple. Then type in your name where it says your name here. And once you have finished typing your name, click the join button. Then you'll be in the queue to be on the air. It's that easy.
Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the second day of April in the year 2024. Sure, hope you're enjoying your Tuesday no matter where it is you are in the country, even though it is miserable out there. My goodness, it's just so miserable, cold and damp and rainy, but it's supposed to be like this through Thursday too, so hope you're enjoying your days nonetheless, and as you do each and every Tuesday, welcome you into your home so that I can bring you this week's news. And before I do that, I have a whole bunch of people to greet today. Melanie Ryan is watching, our own Lisa is watching, John Drimkowski is here, Henry Outwell, and June Hearn is also here as well, so I welcome all of you, and to everybody else who is in the chat rooms of the various platforms where we broadcast. Thank you for being here today very, very much. Before I get into the news, there's this I wanted to bring to your attention because I got this alert from Tony Montanari, the lieutenant of the Nutley Police Department, who was warning about this scam that's going around Nutley, and possibly if it's happening in Nutley, it could be happening here. This group, this organization right here, it is the National Police Association. They are making phone calls and soliciting for fundraising in Nutley. I don't know if there's anybody in the chat room who has gotten a phone call that doesn't live in Nutley. Please do admit that, because the reason why the Nutley Police Department sent out this alert is because of the funds that they raise. They are a quote-unquote legitimate operation, but apparently they only donate 5% of every dollar to the charities that help police anybody who has been involved in a bad incident with the police, who's lost a loved one, things of that nature. So 95% of the people, the money that people who donate to this organization, the money goes to whatever they want. So they're allowed to operate because they are considered a legitimate operation, but the truth of the matter is only 5% of their money goes to the actual charity. And the Nutley Police wanted to make it clear that they are not connected to this organization at all, and they won't see any money if people donate to it. Melanie Ryan just said in the chat room she got a call on Friday. So that's a good example of where this isn't just happening in Nutley, it's happening in Kearney as well, apparently, and probably other towns. So the reason we tell you this is because you really want to be very, very careful about doing stuff like this. When you put these things together, and you realize that only 5% of the donations are going to the actual charity, you're basically being scammed. I don't know if there's any other way to put it, but that's basically what's happening. Yeah, Melanie put the little thing here, a little example of what it is. It's so damn small. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, but of course I have it locked, so I can't make it bigger. Yeah, here it is. I am calling on behalf of the Police Department Widows and Orphans Fund. My response, send it to the police chief. Do it that way. And Henry said it. Just donate directly to your local police department or to the PBA. That is the easiest thing to do. But be careful with these phone calls, people. They are still constantly happening. No matter where you live, no matter who's answering the calls, it's ridiculous. There's a few other people to welcome in today. Our buddy Tim Wagner, who says happy birthday. Whose birthday is it today? I don't know, but happy birthday to you too, Tim. It's always good to see you, buddy. I'm glad to see you in the chat room today. Captain Wagner, thank you. Eileen Matthew is also here with us as well. And, of course, I said hello to everybody else already. Let's just see what this is right here. I haven't received a call. However, I have in the past. I told them I worked for the local PD, and they hung up on me. Well, there you go. Isn't that just typical? Yeah. Okay, so you don't want to do anything with these places. They're awful, and that's ridiculous. It is. My uncle is also here from Carlsbad, California. Good to see you, Uncle. So be very, very cautious if you get any of these phone calls. In fact, I would even suggest don't donate to them because they're just not going to get to where the money is not going to get to where it needs to go by any means. Kearney's top cop is the headline this week on page 1. That is Jose Perez Fonseca, who is the 2023 Police Officer of the Year. And many of you may remember this. About, I would say it's got to be 9 months ago, maybe a little bit more. That might have even been a year ago. There was a teacher from Jersey City who was murdered, and they couldn't find her body originally. And eventually she was found buried in South Kearney. It was kind of brutal. And when they finally located her, we learned that one of the reasons that her body was found was because Jose had pulled over a car in South Kearney that ultimately led to the arrest of one of the arrests of the guys. One of them is still at large, but they were able to return her body to her family for a proper burial. It was just a horrible situation, really. But the truth is, he had instincts that were second to none. They were just, I think when it happened, from what I recall, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, sometime in the overnight period. And the pullover that he made was one that, you use your discretion. It's late at night, very, very dark, in a remote part of South Kearney. Maybe you just let it go. But he had this, sixth sense, and he pulled over the car. And the car that he pulled over, it turns out they ultimately found out, was in the trunk of that car. They didn't know it right at the time because they didn't have a reason to search the car, but eventually they found her body. And Jose has been involved in many other great arrests, epic arrests, which we talk about in the story, recapping his being the Police Officer of the Year. So a tremendous job. And one of the things that people told me was that he was nearly a unanimous pick for Police Officer of the Year, and that one person who was on the Valor Committee said he'd never seen such universal praise for one person's candidacy for Police Officer of the Year. So that speaks volumes about Jose Perez Fonseca. Congratulations to him, the 2023 Police Officer of the Year. He was cited for that at the police ball a couple of weeks ago in West Orange, and he did a phenomenal job in that particular case and in all the things that he does. Well done, Jose. In Belleville, for the third consecutive year, they've been named a top healthy municipality. There's a lot of things that go into how this happens, and the story will explain it to you, but they have taken a great steps in in Belleville to really make the town green and keep people healthy. So read about that. I'm not surprised that they were cited for this again for the third year in a row. So great job out of Belleville, and we say the same thing to Mayor Mike Melham, too, for being spearheaded. This is something you need to hear, too. Tim Wagner, who is a police, for those of you who may not know Tim, most of you do, but he's a police captain in the Kearney Police Department, and he says it very, very succinctly. Jose is a true gentleman and a highly competent street cop. Congrats to him on this well-deserved award, and I think that sums it up pretty nicely in one sentence. Very, very well-deserved indeed. As we move on, this is something I just wanted to bring to your attention. If you are so inclined to donate books, I know of a St. Peter's Prep sophomore who is collecting books at Petracco's Deli in Nutley. Nice kid. I haven't met him yet, but he's a nice kid. And he's doing this, and this is painful to say, as a young ambassador to the Henrik Lundqvist Foundation. Generally, you're in the Henrik Lundqvist Foundation, we don't want to hear about it. But in this case, we'll make the exception because what they're doing truly is great. It's actually fantastic what they're doing. And so if you have any unused or gently used books that you'd like to donate, they are being accepted through this month. and you can drop them off at Petracco's Deli on Bloomfield Avenue in Nutley. And all of the books will be donated to young people who have a chance to read books that wouldn't on other occasions. So yes, that is it. So check it out when you get a chance. If you have the books to donate, head on over to Petracco's. Now, we were speaking of the PBA and a lot of the things that they do, and they keep on impressing me, at least, and I'm sure to everybody else, how much they really do. And for all the things that we see that they do, there are probably 9 other things that we do not see. But this is one of the ones that was visible. The town of Kearney had a rabies clinic a couple of weeks ago. Some of you may have gone to it. Some of you will remember it. And at that clinic, the PBA donated doggy treats to everybody who came and got their dogs their rabies shots. The reason they had these was because Mina Claudius, the president of the PBA, worked with Walmart and was able to get these things donated. There were a lot of them. This is only a small portion, what you see on the screen right now, of the boxes that they did have to give away. But it's just one of those things that the PBA does on a regular basis that generally, not in this case, but generally goes completely under the radar. This is one of so many things they do. So, Mina, well done, and the PBA, well done as well. Oh, I skipped over this. The town-wide cleanup is coming up soon, and volunteers are needed. So read about it in this week's edition, because it was in last week's as well, but they do still need volunteers. So if you're so inclined, this is an annual thing that's been happening for 30 some odd years. Carol Jean Doyle started it, but she has left. She's left it off to the ACES committee now, but they still need help. So do me a favor, check it out. The annual tea, the author's tea, is coming up for the Women's Club of Arlington. And I know this was always something that was near and dear to Christine Jablonski's heart. And Dolores Christie, who is the publicity chairwoman, sent this over. It is coming up in a couple of weeks, and one of the speakers is Helene Stupinski, who is a former Jersey Journal reporter who I remember reading when I was a teenager and a kid growing up in Jersey City. So check it out when you get a chance. It's one of those great events that they put on each and every year, does the Women's Club, and they're serving sandwiches and things of that nature. So check it out. It's $40 a head. This is just like ridiculous how often this keeps happening. The Nutley Police Department made an arrest. These 16-year-old kids were breaking into cars. Fortunately, they were caught, but I think it's pretty fair to say we know that nothing's going to happen to either of these kids. They're probably already out of the juvie detention center, but they were arrested and remanded to the juvenile detention center. But I doubt they're still there, and I doubt there'll be any kind of punishment to any of them. But that's exactly what happened. They were caught. They were not so bright, even though they had ski masks on. But that kind of helped the police in Belleville identify them with the Nutley Police Department. So good job out of them. John Branwell is here as well. Johnny is right next door. In fact, he's probably right behind me, but separated by a wall right now. But Johnny, good to see you, buddy, too. So let's just move on here and get back to... Ramadan was celebrated for the first time in Kearney, and there was a beautiful ceremony a couple of Saturdays ago, and there were about 40 people who came. So Carol Jean Doyle, the mayor of Kearney, was the first mayor in the history of the town to put this on. Say what you want about her. She knows what she's doing. And then this, of course, we will get into this a lot more next week, but the unfortunate death of Judy Hyde. Judy died on Sunday, and unfortunately for us, we didn't have enough time to pull a tribute together for her, but we will next week. She was involved in so many things in Kearney. She was on the Board of Education. She was involved with, you name it, and you'll read that in her obituary, how well versed she was in being of service to this town. And her death was sudden, not so much expected, and I think her loss will be felt tremendously. It really will. So we will have something next week in the edition of the Observer, next edition of the Observer, in remembrance of Judy Hyde, who leaves this world at the age of, I believe, 80. So God rest her soul, and to all of her family, we are thinking of all of you indeed. Now, just a few more things, a couple of housekeeping items. before we go, there are 3 sports stories this week that Jason has in this week's edition of The Observer. And of course, don't forget 2 pages of classifieds, as we do each and every week. There's a whole bunch of things going on, too, a bunch of public notices. So if you're looking for a house, if you're looking for a job, take a look. You will find it in this week's edition of The Observer. And that's it. That's it. This was a big, very interesting week, to say the very least. But we will be back in a couple of days on Friday, and we will speak with Tony Mondero then. Of course, of the Harrison Weather Center, to see what's going on weather-wise. I don't think that takes a genius to know it's going to be wet all week, so just be prepared for that. But I think once we get out of this week, it's going to start to get into the 60s and maybe even the 70s. But we'll let Tony tell you that. But better days, weather-wise, are certainly ahead. I want to thank everybody who was here today. Carol Manley, Tony Marinero is here, and he says there is trouble in Flushing. He is absolutely right, as there is every single year. There is trouble in Flushing. They are just such a pathetic organization. It's not even funny. Tim Wagner, Melanie Ryan, John Branwell, Carol Manley, we got that. My Uncle Mike is here, Tim Wagner. Eileen Matthey is also here. Before I go, Manny Ventoso is here. I'm sorry, Manny, I didn't see you before. That must have gone right over you, and that was not done intentionally. And let's see, Carol, John, and that's it. Don't forget to tune in at 1:30 on Friday. When we do, we'll have some updates on the weather, and then we will see what else happens. If anything breaks, we will join you before, if necessary, if not 1 week from today. From the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Stay well, stay dry. Bye-bye.